Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Eleven minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, March the 9th, 2021. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over there here in San Juan County, New Mexico. 103.3 FM if you're listening in Durango, Colorado, or you can listen anywhere on Earth. Just go to our website, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program. It is streaming live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. We are glad that you are with us this morning, everybody, because talking with me this morning, Jamie Church is standing by from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. We'll be talking about some of the business news that's been in the news this past month and some other exciting things that are going on with the Chamber. That conversation happens in the next few moments right here on KSJE, so stay tuned for that. Then coming up later on this hour at 8:50 a.m., I'll be speaking with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She'll be talking with me about some of the pets available for adoption this week, including a very active dog that you might see on the screen right there. He is ready to go. And so we'll learn more about that dog and more coming up later on this hour at 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE. You can listen or watch our Adopt a Pet Tuesday segment. Mick Hess will be here next hour. It is Roving with the Arts, our classical music program. And of course, Mick is doing his series Hope Not Hate, featuring music from composers who were imprisoned in concentration camps during World War II. And today, Mick is featuring the music of Robert Emanuel Hilbert, and you'll hear that and his story, tragic story, coming up this morning, 9:06 on KSJE. Don't forget, of course, we invite you to connect with us on Instagram in addition to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And let's talk about the weather forecast. Outside right now, it is 40 degrees in Farmington. Winds are gusting at about 13 miles per hour, so it feels like 34. We're expecting a windy day today with a high of 63 degrees. That's another sign of spring, though. Overnight low tonight, about 35. We could see gusts this afternoon hitting 40 miles per hour from those gusty winds, so be ready for that. Tomorrow, mostly sunny on Wednesday with a high of 52, and then perhaps a chance of snow showers overnight Wednesday, the low 29. More chances for rain or snow on Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday, with highs near 50 and overnight lows near 30. And partly sunny skies return on Sunday with a high of 51 degrees. Well, with all that being said, let me turn to my guest who is here with me this morning. Jamie Church is here from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. Good morning.
Good morning. That just seems like very typical March weather.
Doesn't it? Right?
Yesterday was beautiful, and we were actually sitting out on the back deck in the evening, and it was lovely. And now I'm looking at all that going, well, that's March for you.
That's right. Enjoy it while it lasts because...
windy, rains.
That's right.
Snow.
But we know it's our usual summer, spring tease,
Exactly.
and then it gets back to kind of frosty, wintry weather. But that's okay. But no matter the weather, it seems like things are a little bit brighter these days, at least to me. How about for you?
Yes, I would say that is very true. There seems to be a feeling of optimism, a feeling of moving forward. I think getting into the yellow with restaurants being able to open to 33%, and with,
I went out to eat. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I went out to eat the other day with my coworkers, and it was such a treat.
Yes.
Having people bring you food.
Yes.
And, and not have to move.
Not in the styrofoam.
That's right. Not to my car. Anyway, it was a delight.
Exactly.
So, yes.
And to see people getting back to work, and just prior to the announcement that we were in yellow, I think the Chamber, through our Facebook page, we must have shared 5 or 6 restaurants that were hiring that had anticipated this opening, and they needed to get their staff up. So they were hiring everything from hostesses to wait staff to cook. So obviously that's great to see people getting back to work, being able to go out to eat. And it feels more normal. There's a sense of, okay, we're getting things back to normal. We were able to celebrate with the Chili Pod last Friday. They had a ribbon cutting and celebration of 5 years in business. They had live music. We were able to be out on their patio that they put in, and it was just great. It felt like, there were people sitting together and having a glass of wine and chips and salsa and the music, and I was like, that feels good to be moving in that direction.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and as the weather does warm up, because it will eventually, even though maybe not the next few days, but people will be outdoors more.
Yes.
And these restaurants that have invested a lot in these outdoor dining settings, patios and what have you, will be able to utilize them more. And so that's all a good thing too.
It is. I think that these outdoor spaces will stay. And I think that if restaurants are looking down the road to make an investment in their business, if they can do something that's even more permanent. I know we still have a lot of the tenting and things like that, but I think if restaurants have the space and they can do a small outdoor type patio, I think it's a good investment of capital, because I think people always enjoy being in the outdoors. And we're lucky that the majority of the time we can enjoy outdoor weather. I mean, maybe not this week, but most of the time, we can, even in February, there were days where it was nice enough to, if it was sunny, to be outside.
Sure.
Outside. So
well, those propane heaters do a lot of.
They do.
They help a lot.
They do
in some cases. So there you go.
So, and I've been watching the numbers. The San Juan County Emergency Services puts out the updates every day, I believe, or every other day on the current numbers of positive cases in San Juan County, and I was very encouraged yesterday to see just 2 positive cases. And so the week before, I remember seeing 8. So I think our numbers are going and trending in the right direction, going down.
That's true.
And then the vaccine has been has been rolled out very successfully in New Mexico.
New Mexico, I think, is one of the best states in the country as far as vaccine rollouts of getting the supplies into the arms of residents.
Yes, absolutely. I think New Mexico has done a very good job of that. So as we continue to see people get vaccinated, and I did share yesterday that it looks like all school employees, teachers are now able to get vaccine. They've been moved up to get vaccines.
That's the latest from the Department of Health. That's right. We shared
from the Department of Health.
And they want, by the end of this month,
yes,
all K through 12 teachers and early childhood education teachers and staff to be able to get the vaccine if they want it.
Right, if they want it. So that's another step in the right direction. I was driving home the other day and coming up, or actually I was driving to my office and coming up College Boulevard, and saw, this was on a Saturday, I was dropping some stuff off at my office, and I saw a football game going on over there at whatever the junior high is. I don't know, the one on College that I always,
maybe
across
Heights?
from Mesa Verde. Yes, Heights. Thank you.
There
yes,
you go.
thank you. I just drove by, but what I noticed were these kids out playing football.
Yeah.
And there were people in the stands, but they were socially distanced, and there were people that were in their cars, parents being able to watch. And I just thought, how great that is to see. And we took, we didn't even pay attention to that a couple of years ago. We kind of took that for granted, but how great to see them out, being able to play sports, being able to do the activities that they want to do. And again, it just feels like another step back to whatever normal will be, or business as usual. And I feel that with the chamber as well. There's just a sense of businesses feeling like, okay, we're going to be open and we need to get back to business. And so what we're offering through the chamber is any chamber member, whether you've been a chamber member for 6 months or 6 years or 20 years, if you want to do a ribbon cutting, kind of a grand reopening to celebrate coming to the end of this, we will do a ribbon cutting. We've got all of our red coats engaged again, and we'll come down and bring a ribbon and, even a plaque, just celebrating the end of COVID or whatever we want to say. But we open that to any chamber member who'd like to do a ribbon cutting.
I imagine your red coats are chomping at the bit to get out there and with those giant scissors.
We are. It was fun to do. Well, we are. It's a great way to celebrate and also to learn about what's going on. And so our red coats, for a while there, we didn't have any ribbon cuttings at all. And then we limited them to our executive committee. which was about 7 red coats, and now we've just opened them back up again, and we're following all the rules, but it is good to get the red coats out and celebrate these either new businesses or reopening businesses, or example the chili pod, because that's no small thing to celebrate 5 years,
No.
especially in the restaurant industry,
Right.
especially with COVID.
Right.
So,
especially with downtown construction.
yes,
I mean, they had all
exactly.
these things, right?
Exactly.
But now they're in, I think, really well situated to have some outdoor space, this great outdoor and downtown Main Street revitalization,
Right.
and they've kind of learned a thing or two, I'm sure, from COVID.
Right.
And so I think they're in good shape for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
And more, we hope.
So exactly what you were talking about, the outdoor patio space, what they were able to implement during COVID. I know that they did a project where they did some work on their flooring inside the restaurant, because it had been like an industrial commercial carpet. They pulled all that up. Now it's concrete, stained concrete. Did major cleaning, got some new booths and tables from a restaurant that was going out, unfortunately, but and so they have positioned themselves really well. And I also think people are so excited to be eating out again. I know that a couple weeks ago I heard that just every restaurant was at 33% capacity. There were people waiting. There were just a lot of people out.
That first weekend after we turned yellow,
yeah, it was
everybody grabbed their
Let's
friends
go.
and out,
We're going out to eat.
And there you go. And so that's great. And so we should mention too that the state will do another update of the map tomorrow. It's every 2 weeks. And so that will determine the next 2 weeks. If we
Right.
remain in yellow, again, with the numbers the way they are, as the math works out, it's a possibility we might move to green.
Right, right.
Which we're all excited about the possibility. I don't think we'd go back to red.
I wouldn't think so with our
after
numbers
the numbers
being
that we've
that low.
seen. So
Right.
we're all cautiously optimistic,
Gosh,
I guess.
if we
is
went
the-
back to the red, I'd be absolutely shocked.
I don't think so.
No, but I also did read that the state's overall positivity rate is something like 1.26. So that's for the whole state. But
Right.
that's very low. And so what we can hope is that we just continue to move all the counties into at least yellow, because as of 2 weeks ago, there were still some counties in red. Lee County, which is where Gallup is, was still in red. Doña Ana, which is Las
McKinley.
Cruces, or McKinley.
McKinley
sorry.
is Gallup.
Thank you.
But Doña Ana, too, went back
Yes,
from yellow
Doña,
to
they
red,
did.
which is Las Cruces.
Get all my counties on
That's
mixed up.
okay.
Yes, McKinley.
We're all having a geography lesson
I
during this
know,
whole
it's a lot of
pandemic.
counties. We have a lot of counties in New
We do.
Mexico. Anyway, and yes, Doña Ana also, they had been in yellow, they went back to red.
Right.
So,
We don't want to do that.
no, we don't want to do that. And we do hope, I'm hoping, this is just my hope, my thought, is that with the state's overall positivity rate being so low that they could just get everybody into the yellow, and then hopefully
Right.
some of us be moving into the green. So we will know tomorrow, though.
We will.
See the map, and we'll send out a press release as soon as we get it. What I usually do is I wait until I hear from the county on where we are, and then I share that information. I don't like to put things out too quickly, because that's sometimes how incorrect information gets going, and sometimes it can be hard to pull the incorrect information
Right.
back
Well,
once it
true.
gets out. So we like to wait till we get an official word from San Juan County.
And they've been really good, to their credit,
Yes,
of sharing
they
a
have.
lot of information
They have.
To the public from their Facebook page. If you don't follow the San Juan County Office of Emergency Management,
Yes.
you can certainly follow their page, but the Chamber has been, again, sharing stuff. We share things.
You share things.
And so we have the
city
show
of
on
Farmington,
Thursdays with an update. So again, and we do that for folks who, who don't maybe have social media, who aren't
Right.
on the computer, and that's why we do it over the radio. As
That's
old-fashioned as it is, if you know someone that's just, at home with a radio, this is where you can get local information.
Right. And if you
that's what we
see
do.
a lot of things, again, if you start to see things on Facebook or social media, or you hear things, or your friends are saying, hey, everything's back open 100%, that's where you can go to find out what's really going on. Is, as you mentioned, the city of Farmington,
Sure.
the San Juan County Office of Emergency Management, they've got the up-to-date information, and they're getting that information right from the source, the Department of Health. And so,
Well, and they tell you the source.
Yes, they
that's
tell you
the
the source.
key. As an old journalist, an old grizzled journalist, I mean, this is the key, everybody, is, you have to look at, what the source is.
What is
and
the
if
source?
you're seeing a post that doesn't have a source and just some crazy claim, be skeptical. That
Right.
is my best advice.
Right. Well, and I think it's really good advice. And I think that that's one thing the Chamber did back in March of last year. Gosh, a year ago,
Right.
was when we really started to think about how we were going to continue to run the chamber and be the chamber when we couldn't do any of the things we normally did. And that's where we really started making that change to sharing information. And we put links onto our website to the Department of Health, to the Economic Development Department for the state of New Mexico, to the governor's office, to the city of Farmington, so that those links were all live. So they were updated with accurate information. But then we also tried to make sure that we were sharing the information as well. But again, I waited until it came from a reliable source, and I think that's why we got such positive feedback from our members saying, thank you for keeping us up to date. Thank you for letting us know what's going on, because it's hard sometimes to be running all over trying to figure out where to get the information. And let's face it, back when we were all closed down, there was a lot. I remember in April, May, every day there were multiple emails of important information coming out, and I felt like we could barely keep up with what was coming out every day from either the Department of Health or the numbers or the Economic Development Department or the PPP or the PPE or the CARES Act. I mean, there was so much coming out so rapidly in those first few months of the shutdown that it was a bit challenging trying to keep up and also sort through what should we be sharing, what maybe isn't necessarily something our business owners need to know, and because we didn't want to overwhelm everybody, but we also wanted to make sure that our businesses and our community did feel like they knew what was going on. So that we spent a lot of time just sorting through that.
Very
in the
true.
Beginning.
Well, and it seems like we're almost coming back to that these days, too. Things are happening very rapidly in a more positive way, that things are reopening, things are changing. Schools are going to be reopening in April. We heard that yesterday.
I heard all schools. Is that correct? So that includes Albuquerque decided, so I guess.
I think the state allows them now. It's still district by district, I think, if they want to. But the state will allow them to reopen. I believe April 6th is the date that they're working on. But some schools may be a little bit different, but it's still up to the local districts. But anyways, there's that going on. Some of the NMAA activities, the New Mexico Activities Association.
I know there's this little feather. No, there's a little feather floating in my face.
Whoops.
And I know what's going to happen is I'm going to breathe it in.
We don't want that. No, we don't want that at all. But some of the New Mexico Activities Association, the choirs are, I think, starting up again. As you mentioned, football, some of the athletics, we're seeing more of that. So there's a lot of information that's coming, and so these sources, once you find them, are really great to stay in contact with.
Yes.
These reliable, good sources.
And we're trying to start planning, when will our first business after hours be? How many people will be able to come? We do have our Music by the Pond celebration, which is going to be a really fun event this year because we're just going to be celebrating that businesses are here and just celebrating our business community. It's always been a member celebration of our chamber members, but I think this year we're just going to be like, hey, we are celebrating small business in our community. So we do have that on the calendar for June 11th, and we'll be getting our ticketing information out soon, but it's just going to be a great night of live music. And again, we'll have to decide how many people can come to it, and that's in June. So it is a little, we're a little unsure right now whether we'll be able to have 100 people or 200 people. So we'll be making adjustments as we get those number updates. But we do want to have just a celebration of our chamber members and small business. So we're looking forward to that. And that'll be, I think, one of the first events that is happening. I know the Mayor's Ball is scheduled to happen the following weekend, the 19th of June. So we hope to get some business after hours. I've been missing all my coffees.
No kidding.
Much.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
What have I been doing? All of my coffees that I had.
Well, thank gosh for drive-through windows.
Yes.
So there's that.
There is that.
It's the coffee and the socialization
it is that.
I think you're missing.
The coffee's just a bit of it. It's really the social part and making those connections. And I think that's what I've missed is just making, saying, hey, you do this and you do this. Oh, you guys should meet each other because your business could benefit from their business. And so that's kind of what, I've missed. So.
Very true. You were talking earlier about driving by the football field and seeing the kids on the field and how great that made you feel. And I was thinking about, I think it was back in the fall when the schools reopened a little bit before shutting down again. And I passed one of the crosswalk flashing lights.
Yes.
And that the crossing guards were out. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I haven't seen that in months. So that was kind of cool to see that, things are coming back and here we are again. So anyways, we're grateful for those things. But you are continuing to do virtual programs for your members.
Yes.
that I wanted to ask you about, and one of them is coming up. Is it next week? It's next week.
It is next
How about
Tuesday,
that,
the
right?
16th.
This From Unemployed to Entrepreneur.
Yes.
Which has been quite the series.
It has. So this is our third in our series, and this is for anybody who is interested in maybe starting a business, or maybe they have a small business already, but they just want to make sure that they are up to date on everything. So every month we do this by Zoom, and it is a panel of a variety of people. So this month we have Ashley Ritter, who owns a mobile clothing boutique, who's been very successful through the shutdown, and she's going to talk a little bit about her business as well as utilizing social media. We have somebody from the San Juan Center for Independence, Larry Mestis, who's going to be discussing seed loans. We'll have Carmen Martinez again with the Small Business Development Center.
Right.
Trudy Goldsmith with State Farm talking about your business insurance needs, like what you should have in place for a small business or what your options are. And we will have Antoinette Omi from the San Juan College, the Makerspace, talking about what the Makerspace is, who can use it, how that can help you launch a business. So always a great panel. And then our lunch this time will be provided by Juniper Coffee and Eatery, which is right across the street, one of our newer chamber members. And so we're excited. He'll be doing the lunch, and it is sponsored by Cooper Fire Protection Services. So the whole point of this is, again, to help new entrepreneurs get the information they need to be successful. And we do charge $10. There's a registration fee of $10, but that does include your lunch. And what we're doing with the registration fee through this series is it's all going into our Four Corners Professional Committee account, if you will, so that when we are ready, maybe in the fall, we will do some kind of a half-day in-person seminar and bring in some business people, and we'll have then some money that we can do that and make it a really great event for professionals and entrepreneurs. So that's why we have the lunches sponsored. So I just think it's been a great series. We do limit it to 30 people. So if you're interested, and you don't have to have come to the other two, just pop in for this one. And we do limit it to 30, and then, so it's great. We keep it to an hour, lots of good time for Q&A, and then we record them and send them out later as well if you like it, so you can listen to it again.
And just to be clear, these are still virtual events,
Zoom.
right?
Yes, we limit it to 30 on Zoom.
And so how you work that out is people can go pick up their lunch ahead of time.
Yes.
And then enjoy their lunch while they're Zooming with this seminar. Exactly.
So they go to, this month, they'll go over to Juniper Coffee, again, located right on College Boulevard across from the Quality Center. They pick up their lunch, their box lunch, and he's putting together a really great, like, Southwestern bowl of rice and yumminess. It sounds really delicious. But you pick up your lunch, and then you go back to your office or your home or your car, wherever you do Zoom from.
Right.
And then, so you have your lunch, and then you tune in at noon. And so we do it as a lunch and learn. But I think this has been very successful, and also really addresses the questions entrepreneurs have, and also just helps them get some of that information, but also know what resources are out there. So after the series is over, they can connect with Carmen, or they can connect with Larry on these seed loans. And next month we'll have a representative from West, which is the Women's Entrepreneur Center at the Enterprise Center. So just really trying to get the information out so that people interested in starting a business have the facts and the information and the resources they need.
Right. I think it's great. And and again, you've been doing it. This is the third one.
Yes.
And this one, the topic is nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts, because last time it was, you have an idea, now what? Nuts and bolts, that's talking about insurance, talking about seed loans, talking about...
Well, that's stuff you might not think about. I mean, you've got a great big picture, but you need to really worry about some of the details too.
Right.
Or else, I mean, there's probably plenty of stories about businesses that have launched, but then they forgot insurance or whatever, and they had a problem.
How do I register my business? And I have this great idea, and I'm gonna rent a space, and I'm gonna open up a Facebook, and then that's it. That's all I need. I'm done. Then it's gonna be the successful business. And so what we're trying to get people to look at is, go talk to Carmen. Make sure you have a business plan in place. Have you looked at some of the funding options? Have you thought about who your audience is? Who's your customer? And a lot of times people say, well, everybody's my customer, but that's not necessarily accurate. So maybe delving in a little bit to who is my customer. We always have some recommended readings too, that if people want to listen to a podcast or some books. One time our recommended reading was Who Moved My Cheese, but we thought that was very applicable for the whole COVID thing. And So we just try to have resources and information so that there's a lot here to help you start and succeed in a small business.
And a lot, maybe more this year than there was even last
Yes.
year with all the different programs and the CARES Act and
Right.
other stuff that's now available for small businesses.
That's
and so
right.
it'd be important for folks to know about all those things that could help them maybe get to that next level.
And we shared last week a grant that came out from the Economic Development Department for tech and science small businesses, 50 employers and under, new businesses that were dealing in tech and technology and science type applications, and it was a very healthy grant. And so we shared that information because there could be somebody out there who really is working on something within a small business, and so there's grant money available that probably hasn't been available before.
Right.
And so I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes in the midst of all of this, we forget there are opportunities that have come along as well. Just let's talk about Chili Pot again. That opportunity to expand her front little area and include that patio based on what the downtown had done, but also some of the funding and grants that had come in for small businesses.
Right.
And so those are opportunities, if you are willing to take advantage of them, that can help you then survive and thrive in the long run. So it's not all bad. It's been difficult and it's been challenging, but
True.
there are some opportunities.
That's
and
true.
So we're just trying to help everybody connect with those.
Very true. And that's, I think, what business folks will say is that there maybe are challenges, but there are also opportunities
Right.
during those times. And
Right.
so if you can see above or beyond those challenges and look at the opportunities,
Right. And
that
find them.
sets you up for success down the road.
Right.
And as we see, things are opening back up. Conditions are improving. Businesses are hiring, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show. There's a lot
Yes.
of help wanted signs out. A lot of opportunities for restaurant folks for sure, and probably others as well. And so we're all grateful for all those opportunities too.
Right, and as the retail spaces begin to be able to go back up to 100% capacity, they're going to be hiring again. And so I think just paying attention to what's going on and realizing, hey, get out there and pay attention, connect to your radio station, connect to our Facebook page, get out there and find out what is happening and get the information ahead of time so that you know, okay, well, we're getting ready to open to green, let's say, if that were to happen. I'm not
Right.
saying it is, but if it did, that
Find out tomorrow.
Find out tomorrow. This might be the time if you think you're going to need a summer job. Get out there and start putting that application out there now so that you're
Sure.
in the queue and you're ready when these businesses are ready to start hiring. So
Right. And again, there is a turquoise level now too,
there is.
which once we get to green, we could get to turquoise, and that opens up even more
Yes.
things and more larger gatherings
Right.
and movie theaters and
I think,
things along
I
those
think movie
things.
theaters will be the
And
next
maybe concert
big.
venues or things like that we have not experienced. And so, and
Right.
again, I think to the state's credit, now going county by county, I think is better than before when it was statewide. It was all or
Statewide.
nothing. So you could have a big metro area in red, and that would impact the whole state would be in red.
Right,
And
right.
now, by going county by county, at least we're kind of in control of our own destinies.
Yes, our own destiny.
If we do things, that's a little profound.
Well, and we're doing.
I didn't mean it to sound so profound,
we're
but
in
it did.
charge of our own destiny. It's so true, though, Scott.
It
We are
is.
in charge of our
It
own
is.
destinies.
Yeah. And we're in yellow, and kudos to everybody who helped make that happen.
Right,
Because it didn't happen
exactly.
by just one or two people. It was the whole community working together
Right.
to get us to yellow, to reopen these restaurants, to allow us to go out to eat, to allow us to do these things.
Right, exactly.
So.
And we have a lot happening in the legislative session as well. I wish I don't have any specifics, but I know that there are several bills, 6 in the works, that we were really advocating for our business community on because we felt these bills in the long term could be detrimental to our small businesses. So we are at the chamber, along with the other chambers in the state, paying very close attention to some of the bills and what's happening in the legislative session. We are coming to the close of this year's legislative session, and I know it has been extremely challenging for our contingency from San Juan County. So many of the meetings have been Zoom and not the personal conversations or opportunities to meet with other representatives and senators. So I know it's been challenging, and I know we're kind of coming to the close. So we'll be watching and sharing information as we get it on what's in the works.
Very true. And I think it's the next maybe maybe week or so, maybe
Yes.
2 weeks. And usually a lot of that bill activity happens in the last few days of the
Yes.
session. So
Yes.
that's really when you want to be paying attention. If there is something you're really following,
That's right.
the time is coming.
And there is a virtual New Mexico Roundhouse that you can go on to, and it's free, and you get a ticket, and it gets you can then see what, like, the calendar every day and maybe participate. I know they ask if you're going to be making public comment that you register 24 hours in advance and
Okay.
things like that. But there's a virtual Roundhouse New Mexico.org, I think. But we have the link on our Facebook
Okay.
page as well, or our website.
We can check that out. Good.
But there is a way to sort of stay up, and if there is a bill coming and you're passionate about it, now's the time to, at least contact through email or by phone your representative and your senator. So anyway, I'll be, when I get back to the office today, kind of looking and seeing what's coming up and what might be something we'll be sharing with our members. So,
Good to know.
Yep.
And you've been doing that already, too.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's great.
yes.
Well, Jamie, we are out of time, I'm sorry to say, but thank you for coming in.
Gosh, you bet.
It goes by quick.
It does
I know
go by
it does.
quick.
And again, we're all fingers crossed for
Yes.
for the announcement tomorrow from the Department of Health, and,
Yes.
and we'll see where things go. But I know it hopefully will be good news or continued good news for your businesses.
Yes,
That's really
absolutely.
important.
So thank you for
And
having me on.
Keep supporting those local businesses.
Yep, keep eating out, keep shopping local. It's
There you
really
go.
important.
That's right. We know it now more than ever. So
That's right.
Thank you. Jamie Church from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce, my guest this morning here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time is 8:40 a.m.
The U.S. could manufacture batteries for electric cars and energy storage, but it's a dirty business.